Hi, this is Nathan. Welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo.
And we're here today to talk about episode 433A, The Treasure Room.
Dun dun dun. What's in it? What kind of treasures? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah. There's only one way to find out, and that's to keep listening.
Oh, that was cute. That was really cute. Let me give you a smooch. Ooh.
You get double, but they're less wet.
That's all right. I prefer a less wet kiss.
So you're more of an unforeseen guy?
I'm a sloppy wet boy all the way. You know it. Listen, I had the John Mark McMillan CD, so I felt it was within my rights to
I was led in worship in that song by your brother, so I never knew it as anything else.
Yes, exactly. Me neither. And then when I heard that there was all this hullabaloo about it, I was like, you're missing the point of the song.
The point is that both of them are bad.
Unforeseen or sloppy wet? Or
both.
Well,
both are bad.
Yeah. At least sloppy wet, like, I feel like portrays a certain amount of raw emotion that I appreciate.
Sure. I hear you.
But unforeseen? That's like a letter you get in the mail. That is unforeseen.
Neither are good, Andrew.
Not the warm embrace of God. That's closer to a sloppy wet kiss. I'll give you an unforeseen letter and a sloppy wet kiss, and you'll tell me which one brings you closer to God.
Oh no. Content for the bonus.
Yeah, for the bonus show. We make a Wad Fam Chalk Pod, and Andrew gives Dylan a special surprise.
Love the way that came out of your mouth.
Thanks.
Let's
talk about the Wit's treasures, not mine.
Right. So the Treasure Room is written by one Kathy Buchanan. Directed by Phil Lawler, as every one of these split episodes has been.
Thank goodness he tied his career to these episodes.
I probably because he's like, these are like the new writers and whatnot,
yeah.
and he's like, well, they can't write and direct at the same time.
Yeah.
Which,
fair.
It's not right. It's not a bad strategy. Like I think having a seasoned like person on the show do the directing for the episodes that the new writers are writing makes sense, and Paul McCusker isn't on the show at this point.
Yeah.
So it's got to be Lawler.
It's got to be Lawler. Check out our new merch. Got to be Lawler.
No.
Better call Lol.
No. We will do nothing
endorsing that man.
Yeah, exactly. If I make merch that has Phil Lawler's name on it, it's going to be followed or preceded by some very colorful language.
What if it's just Phil Lawler with like a giant circle / situation, like a red X, don't enter. No peeing on the lawn.
Yes.
No Phil Lawler.
Can I use his Facebook profile picture?
That's a question between you and Phil, my friend.
What's he gonna do? Sue me?
He's got a lot of time on his hands.
He's gonna be like passive aggressive on the internet.
No, well, and there's no way that he would find out, right?
I mean, would any of you guys snitch
don't
to
tattle
Phil?
on us? Don't go sending our.
Look. If anybody wants one of those shirts, just email wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com and we'll hook you up. Under the table.
Yeah, under the table. This is,
we'll make it. We'll make something happen.
Yeah, back of the restaurant after we close. You get the number 4 special.
Right.
Yeah. One thing I do want to talk about, because we haven't really addressed it, and maybe it's not worth bringing up. I don't know. With the split episodes, we have, instead of like a normal wit intro where he's going through the paces. We have Chris kind of setting up the premises for both episodes.
Well, yeah, because it's essentially the clip show intro that we get oftentimes, especially during this era, but it's like the split clip show era, or clip show intro.
That's a tongue twister.
Clip show intro.
The split clip show intro.
Split clip show intro.
Very nice.
Thank you. I'm a professional podcaster.
You didn't see him earlier practicing in the corner, warming up his lips. Mommy made me mash my M&Ms. I cried. Mommy made me Very nice. And that has been the Odyssey punk band known as FBI, Frank's Breakfast Inn.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I just wanted to be the coolest dogs.
Oh, yeah. Amen.
Hey, buy that merch. If you don't want a Phil shirt, those ones are pretty good.
They are actually very cool.
Unfortunately, they did accidentally knock off TikTok, which bothers me to this day. I went, you know what? I want like a 3D kind of look to these, and then I went, blue and red are a little too like aggressive. What if I go like cyan and pink? And I was like, oh, I really like the way this looks.
Fun.
And then
familiar.
Like months, well, I'm not a TikTok person. Yeah. And then months later, I was like, crap, I did the TikTok logo.
Yeah. I thought it was an intentional choice when I saw the art.
Yeah, it was not. It was not, and I feel bad about it. And you know what? This is why you hire other people to make your merch.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Michaela.
Yeah.
Love you.
So much. It's so appreciated.
So
we'll give you a good episode someday.
Yeah, eventually. I don't know.
Anyways, this episode aired December 4th of 1999.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And cast-wise, we've
got some people.
People.
It's just, yeah.
I mean, mostly Will Ryan, Sarah Pilgreen playing Bethany, and who normally does, and then Nicole Myers voicing Lisa Mulligan.
Yep. Who is the only voice of Lisa and also the voice of no one else. We've never talked about her before because we've never covered a Lisa Mulligan episode, but this is Mike's younger sister who is, not sister by birth.
Okay.
Because they're the Mulligans.
Yes.
Yep. Have a bunch of adopted kids. And yeah, they're cool people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mulligan family.
A farm with a bunch of animals. In addition to adopting people, they adopt exotic animals.
That's a great look for the public.
Cameron Crowe listened to episodes with them and thought, I'm going to make We Bought a Zoo.
Fair. I haven't seen that, but I'm just going to go along with it for the sake of the listener.
Andrew, the premise of that is in the title.
Yeah,
you don't need to have seen the movie to understand the movie.
Yes, they literally did that exact episode. Oh man, yeah. I would enjoy covering that episode someday. I do have some fun memories.
Yeah, I like the Mulligans.
Mm-hmm. They're just fun.
Yeah,
fun guys.
I feel like they like Nick exists more broadly. Mm-hmm. The Mulligan family, I feel like, exists very short
narrowly.
And specifically.
Yeah.
We talked about them briefly during Novacom because they wind up taking in Tony and Brianna.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
which is just like Brianna. I don't remember what her name is, but it doesn't matter. We're close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
But that is, that's I feel like the last time we hear of them.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And I don't think that they get written off in album 50 or anything.
No, I think that they're just one of those kind of like loose end family, whatever sort of things. But it's interesting. It's like they are in this era of the show. And I was like reading the description. I was like, who is Lisa? And then I listened to the episode and I was like, oh, of course, Lisa. Mm-hmm. Lisa Mulligan. But it's like, I don't think about her as like an Odyssey kid.
No, certainly not. Even though she was totally a kid in Odyssey and is very tangential to a lot of important stuff that was happening.
Yeah, and we get her in this episode being just very good, Odyssey kid.
Speaking of which, I should have known this episode was written by Kathy Buchanan because the dialogue is really funny and quippy and good.
Uh-huh.
And that, like, was kind of
Yes.
impressing and surprising to me.
Yep, I'm going to go on record at the top, and we will talk about it later on as well, but this is my favorite of the split episodes we've covered.
Yeah, for sure. So far.
Like, by a pretty decent margin. Yeah. The other half of this, like, Where There's Smoke, I was like, this is decent.
Mm-hmm.
This one definitely, though,
this one did all of it. It had the humor.
This is what I want from like half an episode of Odyssey.
Yeah, and it had the tie-up and and the lesson and everything. Yeah. It was great.
Also, we debated on I believe it's Bethany's Imaginary Friend. We debated on air over whether or not she was writing in a journal in that episode, and landed on that she was not. Mm-hmm. We might have been wrong. We don't know. But she for sure is in this episode.
One. Yeah.
She is typing her journal.
Love.
Big fan. And talking about like, it's the classic like Odyssey. I'm like journaling about it, and then we're gonna like flash back into it.
Yeah, go.
So it's like I get to narrate. I get to narrate about this with some distance, which is always good.
Yeah,
like
It just translates so well to the medium, and especially with kids, it makes sense that they would be like writing like that. With adults, you have to shoehorn it a little bit more, like they're writing a letter to somebody else. But with kids, I feel like it lends itself perfectly, especially to a small episode like this, where it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm jotting down a memory about something that happened, and start at the beginning, do a little bit, and then
do adults not journal? Am I not an adult?
Do you journal?
Not with like extreme regularity these days, but like, yes.
Yeah, okay.
For, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now, I've had an app that I like write in. Mm-hmm. Big plug for Journey.
Good to know. I actually have always been vaguely curious as to what you use for journaling.
Great journaling app.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you use for like your notes during like church services and stuff as well?
No, okay. that's just straight Google Docs.
Okay.
Unless I'm doing like fancy notes, in which case I use Bear, which is also very good. If you're on iOS, it's like a great iPad markdown note-taking app.
Really?
Highly recommend that if you want like good notes.
Okay.
If you just want like a series of bullet points, you can't beat Google Docs.
Yeah.
And like the ability to like access it from wherever.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're like, I have some very like when I was taking a theology course, I wrote it all in Bear.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is
a good way to organize
this is the way
notes.
to do this. And
Nice. I shout out to Notably. That's what I use.
Okay. Yeah, because you're a scribbler.
Yeah, I'm such a scribbler. The world, that is an understatement. If you saw the way that, especially if I've got feelings about an episode, the notes get more and more chaotic.
Yeah. I type all mine out in Google Docs. But yeah, because I like the flexibility of I can do it on my computer, I can do it on my iPad, I can do it on my phone.
Yeah. No, then that's historically what I did before I got the Apple Pencil. But
yeah. Now Andrew scribbles.
I'm a big scribbler.
And it's really fun.
It's so much fun. All right, let's get into the episode. So Aubrey and Lisa are at wit's end, and they're talking. Aubrey's complaining about like her day has gone terribly so far, and she's complaining about being poor. She's like, I hate being poor. I got to do all this. Right. I had a flat tire. I have old clothes that ripped, and Aubrey, as we've like established, used to be wealthy. They had like a pretty good high paying job, and then they moved to Odyssey and live at the Timothy Center. And yeah. Yep.
It's relatable kid stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so
I think
relatable.
Most, I don't know, maybe not most, but I would say a lot of families like have that influx where it's like there are periods of time where money is suddenly very tight.
Yeah.
And like you feel it as a kid, but you don't have like the context to like get past it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, ugh, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like everything is bad now and it was better before.
Yeah.
And it's like, as an adult, you can see like the greater scope of things. But when you're a kid, you're just like, my
shoes have holes.
We used to go down to the beach for a weekend, and now we go down for a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is worse.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just less going on overall. And they're talking about the treasure room that Whit is working on that is closed off. It's marked off.
Yeah,
there's rumors flying around.
Secret new room. Not even Eugene knows what it is.
Yeah. Which, I find that hard to believe, but, it's whatever.
No, I find it fun.
I mean, if Eugene does know, he does a great job of kind of egging the kids on in this episode. Like, I think it's really funny. It's a great Will Ryan episode.
It is. But yeah, and there's... do they know that it's called the treasure room at this point? Or is it just that all of the, like, rumors about it are that there's something valuable in it?
I'm pretty sure Eugene calls it the treasure room in the beginning of the episode. Whether that happens before the kids are talking about it or whatever.
But there's all this speculation on what valuables could be in it. Like, I know, it's just full of stacks of money or, all these rare, like, museum pieces or whatever.
Paintings or archaeological finds and,
Yeah, and then they start talking about Whit being rich and, like, him, like, owning the encyclopedia company. And I don't know, do you remember, like, there's an episode that's very pointedly about that, about where they talk about, like, a rich man and the eye of the needle. I think it's a Grady episode, which we might cover once we do Grady stuff in the future. Or maybe we already did, but no. Because we did cover that one Grady episode. Yeah, we did.
Was that
we
the
did
one?
cover because
Yes,
it's the Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Washingtons. We covered it during the Strasbourg arc.
Yeah.
Right. But it's them talking about, like, a very large needle.
Yes. Yeah. And
where they call up the encyclopedia company, and she's like, not nearly enough.
Yeah.
For how much do you get paid? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's an episode that is glued in my mind, and so it's hard to remember if we talked about it on the show or not. But yes, I believe we did. Anyways, this episode has a lot of that.
Yeah.
But there's this discussion about the thing, and what is it? Lisa brings up, she's like, one time some kid lost, like, the Q volume of the encyclopedia, and the teacher, like, freaked out, saying, like, that was gonna cost him whatever,
$62 or something like that.
And then she's just like, imagine how much the T would cost. Yeah. That was just the Q, which I don't know why T.
E would definitely...
Well, I don't know that E, because it's words that start with
E. Yeah.
So is T the thickest encyclopedia volume? You know what? I've got a phone.
Yeah, it's time to look it up.
Andrew, vamp.
What Vamp Chalk Bud? Chalk Squad. People listening to my voice right now, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you feel like the time you spend with this show is somewhat relaxing for you. Perhaps even humorous and enjoyable. And if it's not, that's your fault. I'm having a great time.
Okay. Okay, I should have been able to guess that. It is, in fact, M.
M is the largest volume.
M is the largest. A is second. All right, let's find a way to come back in. So according to Google, M is the largest volume of the encyclopedia, followed by A. And T is not really up there.
I was going to put A as my guess as far as...
Well, you didn't, Andrew? So...
Failure.
Yep.
A gross failure.
But yeah, I don't know why they chose T. It just struck me as funny when they say it, because I'm just like, that's not one I would put up there, but sure. But yeah, the T. I also like the idea, though, of, like, buying single letters of the encyclopedia and them costing different amounts based on size.
Amen. I mean... You're paying per word, right? And, it's an exchange.
Also, I feel like most encyclopedias I saw growing up combined Q with a different letter.
True, yeah. Q
where
and
it was
R.
like you get the Q and the R volume.
Yeah. That is true. We can... At least in the library in my public elementary school that I attended.
What? It's just gonna become the bit from Blank Check where, like, every time it comes up that David grew up in England,
Oh yeah.
but it's Andrew went to public school.
At one point, deep in the archives, yeah, that was my exposure to encyclopedias.
Now I'm really gonna lean into this as a bit.
Chalk Squad, get ready. It's gonna be continuous. So yeah, Eugene is warning them about their speculation of greed and their excitement about the valuables in there. He warns them with the words of Habakkuk, which is the way he says it, and what is it, like, greed larger, no, like, a man whose greed is large will be cast into Sheol or something like that. It's quite intense to be, thrown around.
Yeah,
but
it is. It's
poignant.
Right. No, it's also funny after going through, like, of spending so much time in, like, early Odyssey to be like, oh right, Eugene's a Christian now.
Yeah,
like, he can quote Habakkuk, and it's cool. Also,
and then she calls it tobacco.
She does call it tobacco, which is very funny. We're supposed to listen to the words of some shawl-wearing guy named Tobacco.
I'm glad you wrote that down too.
It's real good. As is Habakkuk.
Yeah.
I did a study on it a few years ago. Great book.
It did not get nearly enough attention in Bible college.
Yeah. It was one of those where I was just like, oh, we're doing a study on this because it's funny because no one ever talks about Habakkuk. And then I was like,
no,
it's like someone actually, like, having, like, questioning God and wrestling with it and it not being, like, shut down.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That's in the Bible. More Christians should remember that that's in the Bible.
Habakkuk.
That, like, there is holy scripture that was God ordained that has, like, questions about God, and it's not like, and God doesn't come back and say, you foolish man, why did you question me? He's like, nah, like, here's my side of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and great book. Great story. We're plugging Minor Prophets today. I think.
Yeah. My plug for this
is Habakkuk. Or Hosea. I'm a big fan of Hosea.
Look at you with the
I can do that one. I can't roll my R's though. Couldn't be done.
But your last name's a Sabo.
Yeah, I was terrible in Spanish class. It was unfortunate. All right.
So it's at this point then that Aubrey daydreams.
Yes.
Great extended daydream sequence in which she has a butler named Jeeves, and he's just, like, at her beck and call, and she's got more money than, like, the Queen of England. She's gonna play tennis with Lisa, and the president's gonna be her ball boy.
It's so great.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, and then she's got to loan money to the Queen of England so she can rebuild Buckingham Palace, and
and of course at the time, there was not a godly Republican as the head of state, so we can make jokes about the president being your ball boy.
Yes, there was no Bible thumping man of various skin color in the White House. Moving on. Yeah, no, it is interesting also to hear them talk about billions in this. This episode.
I agree.
Is so weird because, like, a billion was such an it's still an incomprehensible number, but, like, back then it was like a theoretical thing that, like, really only nations had billions of dollars, or I don't even know that anybody had trillions at that point.
Sure.
But now it's like, Kanye West just became a billionaire. Khloe Kardashian became a billionaire, and they, don't even run their own companies. Like, and then we've got the likes of, Bezos and Musk and those people that are bulletproof with their billions.
Yeah.
It's just funny to hear them talking about the numbers.
Yeah,
and saying that Whit's a billionaire, which was a powerful image.
Yeah, yes.
That's what the Imagination Station was for. It was his, like, vanity project to fly him to the moon.
Oh man, but yeah, it is just it's a great sequence.
It is,
She's
it's
gonna bail
long.
out the Queen of England, and the killer of like Bethany shows
Oh
up.
yes, Bethany shows up and she gets taken away to like, what is it like?
It's a litter box.
Yeah, it's called the litter box or like the kiddie playroom or something like that.
Yeah,
which is incredible.
Yeah. I like that. I like that they let Aubrey have this like fantasy and just like get to play it off as like kid having a funny fantasy, and it's not something that they need to like correct or reprimand her for or whatever.
Those
like
kids be daydreaming.
Yeah. I love it. It's it's like the whole thing that we talk about all the time with this show, where it's like they're supposed to use their imagination, but only in the approved ways.
Yes, exactly.
And this is like a fun instance of she's just like, imagining something, and
she's talking about it like she's kind of
fun and harmless
imagining
and whatever, and doesn't need to be like the show doesn't feel the need to like, and that's a bad thing, Aubrey. And, yeah, you only think that way because you're not a Christian. Like
you're sinful.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
So they are very motivated to figure out how to get inside to scheme it. Well,
right.
I will say Aubrey's motivated. Lisa kind of gets roped along.
Yeah, but like, is the idea that they are going to like, are they trying to heist it? Or is it the John Mulaney bit of they just want to see a large pile of money?
Yeah, I think they do just want to see the large pile of money. I'm sure Aubrey, maybe, if there was a large pile of money in there, would be tempted to take it.
Sure.
Another, 2-episode arc about her dealing with that. But
yeah. But yes. So,
I get the impression that they just want to get in. They just want to find out what.
It feels very kid. Mm-hmm. It's like, there is this thing that we're not allowed to know, and so all we want to do is know it.
Well, it's called the treasure room, for like goodness sakes.
It really is.
And you can't tell them, like, I get that's the point, the big reveal and everything, but if you call it the treasure room and say, don't go in there, what are the likelihood that somebody is going to really want to go in there?
Yep. And they do a fake delivery with with an upside down mustache.
Yeah.
Aubrey makes a call. So there's this thing earlier where she talks about like when she's talking about being poor, and she complains about like having to buy everything with coupons.
Yeah.
Which then pays off beautifully here, where she calls up the skydiving company and says, I have a coupon for a free skydiving session. Any chance we can do it over top of Wits End with rope
and a saw? Would it be problematic to make the jump with a saw and rope as well? Hello, are you there? Yeah, no, it's really funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
They make the fake delivery. They go to clean it, and
they offer to polish Eugene's keys.
Oh no, it's Wit's keys.
Oh, it's Wit's keys.
Yeah,
okay.
Wit's keys, and he's like, oh no, I think my keys are plenty clean.
And then they offer to clean up, and they're like, well, we'll start in there, and he's like, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's still under construction. It's just gonna get dirty again. But be my guest, come clean down here.
Yes,
which is classic. I've done that plenty of times as children. Where I'm like, you want to throw things against the wall? Well, how about you do this instead?
Yeah, and so they just speed off, and then we get an incredible line in which we find out that Aubrey got a lock-picking kit
from Jared?
From Jared before he moved.
Love. Just like, love. She must have been new in town.
And I know. It's like, she probably showed up and he went, you're not a Christian. Have this.
You're gonna need this.
But... yeah,
Give me that excerpt of the show. I want
love
the director's cut.
Like, that appreciation for just, like, random continuity where it's like, we're going to reference, like, she got a lockpicking kit. She could just be like, she could have any way of getting it. And it's like, no, we're specifically going to say that she got it from Jared, who, of course, had a lockpicking kit.
Yeah,
and
because it's Jared.
Right.
And everything we know about Jared. Yeah, no.
Right, but also acknowledge that, like, at this point in the continuity, like, he's moved away and won't come back till Novacom.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fun.
It is really fun. And she goes to like kind of like stick it in, and she's like jiggling it around or whatever, and you can hear it, and then they twist the knob and it's unlocked.
Right, and then
can
Lisa
just walk
goes like,
in.
what if it's, do we even know that the door is locked?
Yeah.
Reaches for it. They go in.
Yeah, no, so I don't have any memory of this episode. I was genuinely very, like, curious as to what was in the treasure room as well.
I would say similarly. This was not one where, like, as it was playing out, I went, "Oh yeah, of course, that's what's gonna happen." So
Is
who
there
knows?
any other mentions of the treasure room beyond this episode?
Oh, I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
That's a great question for the wiki, though.
yeah.
If we go to general, it's not even listed as a link in the wiki, so I'm going to assume no.
Oh, goofs listed on the wiki. Aubrey tells Lisa that she got her lockpicking kit from Jared Dwight before he moved away. In Blind Girl's Bluff, Aubrey didn't know who Jared was.
This is the sort of stuff in the goofs that I just don't care about.
Yeah, I know.
That it's like, it's maybe fun if I catch it and bring it up, but I never am like, read it and I'm like, ah, yes, great.
I can't wait to Cinema Sins Odyssey.
Yeah. But which is, we try not to make the premise of this show.
Yeah.
We're not about gotchas. We're about the storytelling.
Exactly.
That's what the description says.
Gotchas are secret, and you have to pay to get the gotcha episodes, okay? Keep them behind a paywall, like good capitalists.
But, yeah.
So they go into the room, and it's presumably dark. I don't know. They have, like, a flashlight. They're trying to figure out what it is. They see a painting, and, is it Aubrey that says, like, oh, you know, it looks kind of crude, like, very impressionistic, and whatever, which is funny. Art
She's
jokes.
like, I've seen a painting like this go for like a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's probably worth millions of dollars or whatever. And they're moving around, and Aubrey knocks over paint onto the air quotes priceless painting. And they all freak out.
Air quotes it, Andrew.
It is priceless. It is priceless. And Wit's delivery of how much that painting means to me sells me.
Yep.
Like, that got me.
Yep. Yeah, but hey, so then, right, then she starts spiraling about this, and there's a great line
I'm
of,
going to go work at a coal mine.
I have to get a job at a coal mine.
Which is really funny. And then she's talking about, oh, there's another one after that.
Yeah, she says something else. She also, like, mentions, like, are there even any coal mines around here?
Yeah.
Like, it's real good.
It's funny, and it's those quips that, like, not every Odyssey episode, especially, you know, female-heavy episodes have, that I thought was, like, really fun, where, like, they really gave these kids a lot of life and energy. It just in the funness of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... oh, no, it's Lisa is freaking out, and she's the one that's... fears she's gonna work in a coal mine.
Okay, that's the Lisa
and then
line. Sure.
Wit comes in and is like, what are you guys doing in here?
He catches them.
Yeah. Paint-handed.
Yes, paint-handed. We don't know what color the paint is.
But we do know that it's paint.
It's true. It's probably wall-colored.
Yeah. Or ceiling-colored paint, maybe? I don't know.
Possibly. Could be.
Chalk Squad, when was the last time you painted your ceilings? Is that a thing people do? I mean, I know it, like, you do it like when you move into a space or something like that. But like, how often are you supposed to repaint your ceiling?
I don't think ever.
Really?
Unless there's like a stain on it. Like,
That's fair.
It's not like the outside of things where it's like you got to paint it because it's exposed to the weather. Like, it's just, it's just up there.
Good to know. I was.
Have you
really
ever seen a
excited about...
ceiling in a house that was not painted white?
I
have not. I've seen some like tile ceilings and stuff.
I'm thinking like tile ceilings, drop ceilings, stuff like that. No, I don't think that like. What about tan? I've seen plenty of tan ceilings.
Okay, it's like an off-white or a tan,
like a khaki.
Okay,
like if it's like a like they have like. I don't know that it's like a residential home, but I've seen that in plenty of buildings where they have like kind of khaki ceilings.
Sure. I don't know. Maybe I'll paint mine blue.
I think that would be very fun, and you could put some stars in it. And Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think
I
that's...
feel like if you're going blue, you got to go clouds.
Yeah, no. I do prefer a light blue to like a deep navy when it comes to aesthetic choices.
Also, having a dark ceiling feels like it would be suffocating.
Or I don't know. I find a small amount of suffocation when I'm trying to sleep very comforting. Where I'll just jam my head into the pillow, so it's kind of hard to breathe, but very comfortable.
All right. You know what? Whatever works for you, buddy.
So maybe if it feels like the ceiling's caving in on me a little bit. Not a ton, but just a little bit. We could be okay.
So we cut out to Aubrey's narration at this point, and she talks about having to call her parents. And
how Will was very upset. Like, he made him call her parents. He made them clean it all up. He was like,
right,
these kids are not getting away with this, which
rightfully so.
Yeah,
I don't think he overextends in that.
No, I don't. I say that because in my first listen through, I didn't really gauge how extensive the punishment was, and then in the second one, I was like, oh yeah, no, they really, I mean, they atoned for their sins. They did it. Yeah, which is nice, and I think that goes to show that, like, you know, Aubrey and Lisa weren't taking it super personally.
Yeah. But yeah, and then there's this good, then they're talking about the painting, and this is where Whit, like, deadpans like it was a, you know, priceless, one of a kind.
Strasbourg.
Like, right.
You probably know the artist.
Yeah, Mandy and Mandy Strasbourg, and Lisa's like, you know, or one of them's like, Mandy made like a painting that's like priceless.
Yeah.
And then the other says, like, I need to be nicer to that girl.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, I agree. You should be nicer to Mandy.
Yeah, we're big Mandy fans on this pod. But, like, it's just very, very well delivered. Just, yeah, it got me. Then Whit explains that the true treasure is all of the kids that God has brought into his life.
Which is beautiful, and I love that.
Yeah,
and he pulls back like a tarp, and there's like a mural on the wall of all the different kids.
Yeah, like pictures of them.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
I presume like the Barclays are on the wall.
Right, I'm like all the people who came.
And Connie with bad hair, which is brought up. And then,
that's very funny.
And he asks him, asking why. She says why. She says Connie had terrible hair, and then he asks Whit why. Whit's like, oh, I think she just overdid the mousse a little bit. Which has got me really good.
Yeah. It's just...
I love quippy Whit. I mean, it's so funny.
Yeah.
When they give him those just kind of like underhanded fresco.
But like, yeah, I like the... I don't know, I just like this idea. It's a room where I'm like, it wouldn't make sense because I don't have visual associations with these people. But like, I love the idea of like seeing all of the Odyssey kids there.
Did you ever know somebody that like had something like that in their house, where like people that would come over would like write their names on a wall or anything?
No. I'm assuming you did.
Yeah, I have. I guess I have a lot of them because I have like, I think three separate places that I have my name written up amongst a lot of other people. One of my friends, the first boy I ever kissed, had a thing going into his basement where like everybody that was in like my class that had come over and played with him and hung out and stuff, they'd written their name in Sharpie on the stairwell. And then it was another stairwell situation, I think, at another friend's house. Didn't kiss him. And then finally,
there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. I'm coming for you. You know who you are. And then when I worked at a coffee shop, they had that there, which was super fun and kind of a classic thing where if you had worked there long enough, you got your name written up on the, like, 50-year-old wall that used to be a stairwell that is like tucked in.
Did it survive the renovations?
It did. It did.
I'm
Name's
so
still up there. That was something
That's
I checked on immediately.
Really important. Yeah, I don't have that. I've got some like friends who get married or whatever, where it's like sign like
sign
the
a
picture frame,
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
sort of thing. Sign globes,
Which
like
is
I've
still
done.
super
yeah.
fun.
Oh my word, yeah, I love it. Like,
Speaking of which, Chalk Squad, when I get married, please send me a card with all your names signed on it. I don't want gifts. I just want a card. You can put money in the card if you feel so inclined, but you know.
all right. It's you plan your wedding another time, Andrew.
For sure. Seems kind of appropriate.
But yeah, just a delightful episode.
Such a good episode,
And I like that there's not much of a lesson to this one. It's very much like the kids were snooping and like they got caught and they got in trouble, but it doesn't like play into like a larger like, and that means that you should always you should never snoop or whatever. It just feels like very much like very just like you got like this is the punishment for what you did, and it's that like you clean it up and you listen to me monologue a little bit, and then we just get the sweet note of like Wit being like, these people are the things that are valuable to me, and it just that idea of like valuing like the relational aspects of things above all else resonates so well with me. I was recently having breakfast with some people, and one of them mentioned a quote from his dad that has like been ringing around in my head for a little while now, which is, and I'm sure it's not original to his dad, but the talking about like screwing up growing up and whatever, and his dad said, if the problem can be solved with money, it's not a real problem. In response to someone like throwing a ball and it going through a window.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's good. I like
where
that
it's just like you like expect the person to like dad to come home and lay down the law and like get punished severely for that. And it was just kind of like
it happens.
Like right. And I'm just like, that is so much of the ethos that I want to have.
Yeah, me too.
It's it's one of like the first couple episodes of Seinfeld, which is like one of those shows that's like, this should never have a lesson in it.
Yeah.
Like it's Seinfeld.
Literally about nothing.
But there's a really great moment where like Kramer leaves the door open to Jerry's apartment while he's away, and his entire apartment gets robbed.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like mad at first, and he's just like, whatever.
It's just stuff.
Like, yeah,
exactly.
And I'm just like, man, like the notoriously petty character Jerry Seinfeld is just like, but like whatever.
It's just stuff.
Like,
it's whatever. It's an apartment. Like this isn't stuff that no family heirlooms or whatever. I think back to times in my own life where like I didn't have that attitude. Yeah. Where my brother ripped a hole in a sock and I like yelled at him and told him he was gonna have to buy me a new one. And then I was like, that was like, I spent $1 on that 10 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
Like that is not
worth being
like,
mad at.
What am I doing?
And
so it just trying to be that more and value the people over the stuff. And I feel like Wit strikes a balance where it's like he's not just like, yeah, cool, whatever. He's like no, like you guys
clean
did
it up. You made a mess.
Right. Like, you guys are like responsible for this, but I'm not gonna like hold you in contempt over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nor is it like
which I think that there was a certain time where it wasn't considered effective parenting if you let your children kind of move on from their mistakes because they would be bound to repeat them or something.
Right.
But I really like that this episode kind of shows Wit doing the opposite of that. And just all the talk about how much money he has and how how extensive his resources are, then just gets immediately juxtaposed by his real wealth is in the relationships that he has with these people. And that's like, it's not him being preachy. It's not him saying you shouldn't be valuing this. It's him saying, I made this treasure room because
Right.
this is what is my treasure.
Right. It's so much more him living it out than him like
Telling it.
Yeah. No, that's an astute observation. I think probably a lot of the reason this episode hit so well for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a good one.
It's
quick. It's like if you're looking for an episode to listen to, like that is just like quintessential Odyssey, where it's like it's funny. It's kids being kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's Wit being a human being.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like some hard forced moral, really.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of wears it all on its sleeve.
Yeah, that is the beauty of the episode, where it just wears it on its sleeve. It is what it is, and it feels effortless and not forced.
Yeah.
And I'm chalking that one up to Kathy Buchanan, because we certainly know it wasn't Phil.
Right. Oh, and we got to talk about it. 85% on the wiki with 25 votes.
It feels low, but it's definitely higher than a lot of the other episodes.
Right. I mean, I think we've actually had an 86 in this series, but we'll maybe talk about that down the road.
Mm-hmm. Eyebrows.
Yeah. Anything you wanna throw out plug wise here before we hit the road?
Hanging out with kids. Big fan.
I feel like you did that one recently. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm so okay if I'm repeating myself in this one, honestly.
Fair enough.
I like spending time with children, taking care of them, loving them well, and supporting them. It's incredibly fulfilling, and like they're just way less problematic than adults. In the sense that, like, if a kid has a problem, it can be solved with either a TV show or a juice box, whereas like an adult will probably need maybe a certain amount of psychotropic medication and a couple weeks off of work.
Yeah.
So, hanging out with kids. What about you?
There you go.
Any plugs?
I don't think I've got any plugs.
Nectarines.
But, hey, dude, I love a nectarine.
Seasonally appropriate.
Great fruit.
Yeah. I think I definitely have plugged local produce recently.
Yeah, that one's for sure come out. But yeah, with all that being said, we will be back next week for episode 433B, Chain Reaction.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
WadFam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at WadFamChalkPod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. The Treasure Room was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Acebo, and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more WadFam Chalk Pod.